Oh boy, I get to do a broadcast for my brand new residence. And how's this for a lively background? Yeah. The books were kind of more intellectual, weren't they? Hey, Marky, Billson. I've had a hiatus. I've taken a new job, one actually in politics, if you will. Moved back to Western Pennsylvania. How long, I don't know. But I still am thinking of sports in the Tri-Cities, Tennessee area. I am not necessarily done with the Tri-Cities. So I do have something to say. And I'm going to talk to you about it now. And it's what Scott Carter should be telling the Erik Ainge. Now, in the Tri-Cities, and really probably just about everywhere, but in the Tri-Cities especially, a lot of times speaking out against your rival media is frowned upon. And I think it's a little bit more pronounced in the Tri-Cities, which is one of the reasons why Tri-Cities media tends to be so boring. But the reason why is that the radio personalities don't have contracts. There aren't any unions in the radio, so what happened really to me in my old job, where on a whim, the station CEO decided I was a bad person or whatever, and started abusing me. Yeah, and you're gone, just like it. Doesn't matter what you're giving to the community, doesn't matter the revenue that you're bringing in, all that sort of stuff. There's very little job security in the broadcasting business. And so, just look at how Tom Taylor has bounced around. Here's a guy with a strong internet following. Look, Bill Meade was at WOPI years ago and other stations before landing at what is now Cumulus and such. Tim Cable, WKPT, as well as now WJCW. Bill Kramer bounced around a lot, and he's probably the greatest DJ that ever lived in the Tri-Cities. Even someone like John Quaintance, who had such a strong relationship with the ownership of Bristol Broadcasting. Yeah, he was over at, I think it was Citadel back then. It's now Cumulus. I can mention a lot of names. There are a lot of sports writers. Why isn't Trey Williams on a print publication staff? So a wonderful sports writer. There are many others just like that. And so, it's that there isn't a lot of job security. You're always wondering, well, I better not tick this guy off or else he might not hire me if the inevitable happens in my place of work. And there's that feeling going around, I think, that's very prevalent in the Tri-Cities. But, you know me, and I got to tell you like it is, and so that's why I'm going to comment. Well, I won't name the radio station, but it's a radio station that does 2-minute drills. You ever hear this? During their spot, they do 2-minute drills. Not a bad idea. And they take recordings of their live local sports talk shows and play them back. And one of them is an interview with Scott Carter, the athletic director of East Tennessee State, where he was talking to Erik Ainge. By the way, I will give credit here. The Erik Ainge show, since it has been carried by WXSM, has allowed them to pull ahead of WKPT in the local sports talk ratings. That's good. The bad is that the rating is 0.8. That's not so good. WKPT is stuck on 0.6. But anyway, as Carter talks to Erik Ainge and they promote their new show that was, by the way, ranked as the 17th best mid-major sports talk show in the country by Barrett Sports Media. That's the Erik Ainge show. For whatever that's worth, okay? Scott Carter tells Ainge that he wants to build great relationships. That's his thing. He wants to build great... What's your plans for ETSU? I want to build great relationships. What does that mean? No, really, what does that mean? What athletic department doesn't want to build quality relationships with people? What person doesn't want to, I'm trying, Andrew Dice Clay, maybe it would take away from his work as an insult comic. I don't know. You tell me. Now, Carter is cheerful, he's personable, he isn't afraid to talk to the media. All great qualities. But this is just a cliche. This is really meaningless. And why the radio station in question is deciding that this is such a thought-provoking comment, building great relationships. We've got to play this over and over and over again. I don't quite get it. Look, here are 10 things Scott Carter could have said that would have been meaningful, and on top of that, it's what the ETSU Buccaneers fans want to hear. 1, have the basketball program, men's basketball of course, grow into a mid-major power, not one of these things where you're making up national rankings. We were ranked 26th in the coaches poll. The coaches poll stops at top 25. Sorry. Okay, there's no number 26. Don't tell us you were ranked number 26. Doesn't work that way. But they're trying to, make something that there isn't. Tell us that you won the most games in school history. That's an accomplishment. Don't make up a national ranking. But ETSU being ETSU, they go the one way. Building great relationships, making up great rankings, all this sort of stuff. Have the football team not finish in last place the year after you win the conference title. That would be a good thing. How about this? A little bit less snarky, but produce professional people. You want your people going to ETSU, really if they're athletes or not, but let's just focus on the athletic program, to become a great doctor, lawyer, Indian chief, what have you, or a professional athlete. There's nothing wrong with saying at ETSU, we'd like to produce more professional athletes. I think that should be a goal. Why wouldn't it be? Improve the women's basketball program, not blow 21-0 leads to Radford. Ever since Tiana Taylor graduated, the women's basketball program has been a little shaky. Have the baseball program win in the conference, Southern Conference obviously, not just get fat on northern teams coming down south in February and then building up a nice record and then losing subsequent games to, whoever in the Southern Conference. Work on having more ETSU games on free TV. Once upon a time, boys and girls, ETSU games were broadcast regularly on WJHL, generally talking about the basketball program, but in the glory days, yes, of Mr. Jennings, and a few years after that, you could watch an ETSU Oral Roberts game preempting primetime television lineups on WJHL. Now, there's a lot of ESPN Plus, people in Tri-Cities, and really a lot of places don't like ESPN. They don't want to pay the $5. It's, an extra, we're in the era of cord cutting, not in taking on more, fees, that sort of thing. So let's try to see I know a lot of that is the Southern Conference, but again, in the past, ETSU was able to develop their own television contracts with WJHL, and you start to wonder, the Tennessee ETSU game in 2016, that was on free TV. I'd like to see more of that. I'd like to see some ETSU Furman games on free TV, that sort of thing. How about this? Eliminate the idea of ETSU as little brother to the University of Tennessee. That's huge. You've got to do that to have an identity in the Tri-Cities, a real one. Of course, when you're hiring all your coaches from Tennessee, that does mean that, it's kind of hard to shake that image, but no. How about it? No more of this little brother. I've never, except in using that in this term, in this context, I don't believe of ETSU as little brother, but I know that some others have said that. That's something that ETSU, they've got to get rid of that. Number 9, most importantly, build a new arena. Build a new arena. Freedom Hall is obsolete. The Mini Dome is obsolete. Brooks Gym is beyond obsolete. Build a new arena. The community needs it. Need a new arena to bring in the concerts, to have minor league sports again. The Appalachian League is going to be going out of business. You'd like a minor league hockey team. I know indoor football tends to be fly-by-night. But minor pro sports, events, revivalists from the Jehovah's Witnesses, whatever. events, this area, the Tri-Cities, needs a new arena desperately. Work with the governments, be them state, local, I don't care where, and get this thing built. And do it, I guess, by becoming more profitable. And that would be number 10. And that's where I think the building great relationships, if you really want to look through the lines, that might be what Scott Carter is trying to say when he says build great relationships, build better relationships with boosters to take in more money. Nothing wrong with that. Except this. You may become beholden to said boosters when you do that. And that's how David Cutcliffe gets fired at Ole Miss. That's how Greg Schiano almost gets hired as the football coach at Tennessee. Not that when I think about it, I'm like, would it have been that bad? Would it have been the end of the world if he did come in? I mean, we'll find out. If Rutgers starts winning more than Tennessee, I mean, there'll be some, maybe we were a little too hasty there. I will say this. If Schiano was accepted as the head coach at the University of Tennessee, John Currie doesn't get fired by Beverly Davenport and company. And as a result, Steve Forbes is still the head coach at ETSU of their men's basketball program. Think about that. However, that's what happens when boosters get involved. They make coaching decisions, the athletic department doesn't, and that's usually not a very good thing. But I do digress when I get into the Schiano stuff. Just final thought here. Joe Paterno. Years ago, said to a group of boosters at Penn State, "We want your money, we don't want your advice." Now, maybe only Joe Paterno could get away with a comment like that. But ultimately, Scott Carter's success at ETSU as an athletic director, it's going to depend on if he can make a comment like that. I'm Marky Billson. I ask you're watching on YouTube to subscribe to my YouTube channel. We're going to start doing this a little bit more. I am working full-time out of the sports media. I'm not done with the sports media, don't get me wrong. This is sort of for the time being, a temporary job. We'll see if it goes someplace. But nevertheless, I am excited to be here. Great to be back in Western Pennsylvania, but it's also great to talk to you again, and we're going to continue to do it. So until next time, hit the subscribe button. And thanks for watching. I'm Marky Billson.